Hello friends, it is painting week. So you need your watercolor set, your paintbrush, a cup of water, mine's pretty small, and then you might need a paper towel. So we're going to use watercolors on our picture today. We drew with crayons because crayons resist water because they're waxy. Resist means that it doesn't like the water and the water will go around it. So we'll be able to paint right on top of our picture without anything being covered up, which is really cool. So we are going to talk about our paintbrush for a second. So our paintbrush has soft bristles on it, and those soft bristles are all going in the same direction right now. Look at your paintbrush. Make sure that the bristles are all going in the same direction. This is a happy paintbrush. It has a nice hairdo. It's very straight and pretty. So we're going to dance on our tippy toes like little ballerinas while we paint today. So I'll show you from the side too. We're gonna paint using just the tip of our brush. We are not going to go to the booty scootin' boogie. If we press our paintbrush all the way down so the metal part is touching the paper, our paintbrush will be very unhappy. Do you see how crazy his hair just got? If we keep doing that, the hair is gonna stay like that forever. So we wanna make sure that we're really gentle with our paintbrushes and only paint with the tippy top. So watercolors, they are the only paint that really like water. They're pretty thirsty paints. So when we use our watercolors today, we're gonna make sure that they get really wet before we use them. If we ever get too much water on our brush, I'll scoot this down so you guys can see it a little better. We need to just squeeze that water out on the side of our cup. We don't like to tap our paintbrush because when we tap, then water gets sprayed everywhere. So we want to just squeeze that water out on the side of our cup. So I'm going to start painting. I think that I'm going to add orange to my cap first. So I'm going to scoot this back up so you guys can see my orange. So I'm going to get a lot of water on my paintbrush, and I'm going to twirl my paintbrush using only the tip of it in that orange until I can see the orange on my paintbrush. Then I can go over to my picture and I can paint right on top of it. And this was a bad place to show you guys that it doesn't go on top of the crayon because red and orange are very similar colors, and so you can't really tell very well. But it's going, you can tell with the black though, that you can still see it even with the paint on it. You can use any colors that you would like. When I rinse my brush, I put it all the way at the bottom of my cup and spin it around. And because watercolors really like water, I can just take my clean brush and go straight to my next color. If you would like to mix your colors, you can do that in the top, this plastic part. So I could take a little orange and then rinse my brush, really wet and clean. Maybe I want to add a little yellow to it. And I can mix my orange and my yellow right here. And maybe I want to use that so it's a lighter orange. So you can use the lid to mix your colors, but don't mix your colors in your paints because then they'll be dirty and you won't want to use those because they won't work as well anymore. So I'm going to make sure I'm using this. My paintbrush is getting a little dry. It's not as vibrant anymore. So I'm gonna get a little bit more water. Might get a little bit more of that orange, rinse, get a little yellow, stir it around, and then I can start using it again. So if your paintbrush ever starts to get scratchy, that means that it's too dry and you need to add some water to it. So you guys can go ahead and get started. You can paint your cat however you would like. If you use more water, the color will be lighter. And if you use less water, the color will be brighter. So that's a good thing to remember. You can paint right on top of your crayon because remember the crayon and the water don't like each other, so the color will still shine through. If your paper ever starts to get a little fuzzy, then that means you've painted on that area a little too much and you need to stop and move to another section. So if your paper gets a little furry or a little fuzzy, that means you've painted too much right there and you need to move to a different place. So keep that in mind while you're painting too. Make sure you're using only the tip of your brush. Make sure you're using enough water, but not so much water that there are little puddles on your page. We don't want puddles. That's not going to help us very much. So make sure you don't have puddles on your page, but that you also are using enough water that you can see your color and move it around and your brush isn't scratchy. You hold a paintbrush just like you would hold a pencil. So also try not to paint like this. Try to hold it like a pencil. Once you're finished with the cat, you can go to the background. You can use one color in the background or you can use lots of colors in the background, whichever you would like. If your paint gets sticky, remember it needs water. They're very thirsty. So if your paint starts to get a little sticky, maybe you need to add some more water to it. I'm just going to do one color in my background, but you can do lots of colors if you would like. I stuck with using my warm colors on my cat and my cool colors in the background, but you don't have to do that. That's just what I did. You can paint it however you would like. All right, once you finish your cat, make sure you leave your sketchbook open to dry. We don't want to close it, we want to wait for it to dry. So make sure that it gets put in a safe place where no one's going to set anything on it, where it won't get damaged while it dries. Once it's totally dry, you can have an adult take a picture of it. So you guys have just finished your very first masterpiece that took you a couple extra weeks instead of just one. So we talked about Paul Klee and the 3 elements of art that he uses in his art: line, shape, and color. We talked about patterns and how they repeat. We also talked about the warm colors, red, orange, yellow, and pink, and the cool colors, green, blue, and purple. I hope you guys had fun. If you have any questions, always message me on Schoology, and I can't wait to see these final masterpieces. Good luck. Adios.